Let's talk about something that many people experience but often dismiss as nothing serious. Have you ever felt your legs grow weak, like they might give out under you? Maybe it happened after a long day or even just climbing a few stairs. You might have brushed it off, thinking it's just fatigue or a sign you're out of shape. But what if that weakness is actually your body's way of trying to tell you something more serious is going on? It sounds alarming, but paying attention to these warning signs can be crucial for your health. Imagine this. You're walking through the grocery store, pushing your cart, and suddenly you feel an unusual heaviness in your legs. They're shaky, unsteady, or maybe even tingling a little. At first, you think, it's nothing. I'm just tired. But days go by, and the feeling doesn't go away. In fact, it might even get worse. This is exactly what happened to a man in his early 50s who was otherwise healthy. He thought it was just the long hours at his desk job catching up with him. But when he finally visited a doctor, the diagnosis was something he never expected. It turned out he had peripheral artery disease, or PAD, which is a condition where the blood vessels in the legs become narrowed or blocked. This restricts blood flow, causing the muscles in the legs to feel weak, tired, or even painful during activity. What makes PAD particularly dangerous is that it doesn't always come with obvious symptoms until it's advanced. Weak legs might be one of the first clues, but without treatment, it can lead to serious complications like ulcers, infections, or even amputation in severe cases. The man's decision to see a doctor early made all the difference. With lifestyle changes, medications, and monitoring, he was able to manage the condition and avoid further complications. But PAD is just one of several conditions that weak legs might indicate. Another common but often overlooked cause is nerve compression. Take sciatica, for example. This happens when the sciatic nerve, which runs from your lower back down each leg, gets pinched. The result? Weakness, pain, or tingling in the legs. A woman in her late 30s shared her story about how she began noticing weakness in her legs whenever she'd sit for long periods. She'd stand up, and it felt like her legs were going to buckle. She thought it might be her office chair causing the problem. But when the symptoms persisted, she went to a specialist and found out she had a herniated disc pressing on her sciatic nerve. Fortunately, with physical therapy and a few adjustments to her daily habits, she was able to recover without needing surgery. Then there's another sneaky culprit, multiple sclerosis, or MS. This is a chronic condition where the immune system mistakenly attacks the protective covering of nerve fibers in the brain and spinal cord. One of the early symptoms? You guessed it. Weakness in the legs. MS often starts subtly, with symptoms that come and go, making it hard to pinpoint at first. A young man in his 20s recalled how he felt an odd sensation of weakness in his legs while playing soccer. At first, he thought he had just overdone it during practice. But as weeks went by, the weakness came back more frequently, and he also started noticing occasional numbness. After several tests, he was diagnosed with MS. While it was a life-changing diagnosis, catching it early allowed him to start treatment and manage the disease effectively. Weak legs can sometimes indicate something as simple as a nutritional deficiency, but simple doesn't mean insignificant. Take vitamin B12, for example. This vitamin might not get the spotlight like vitamin C or D, but it's a star player when it comes to nerve health. Without enough of it, your nerves can't function properly. It's like a car running low on fuel, things start sputtering, and in the case of your body, you may experience weakness, numbness, and even that odd, tingling sensation in your legs. It's the body's way of saying, hey, I'm running on empty here. Help me out. Let me tell you a quick story about Priya, a woman in her 40s who faced this exact situation. Priya was always on the go, balancing work, family, and a side hustle selling handmade jewelry. She had always been energetic, but over a few months, she started noticing her legs feeling unusually weak and heavy by the end of the day. It wasn't just that I've had a long day kind of tiredness. It felt deeper. Her legs tingled at times, and she caught herself stumbling occasionally. At first, Priya brushed it off as stress from her packed schedule. After all, who wouldn't feel a little drained juggling so much? But then something strange happened. The weakness in her legs didn't stay confined to her long days. It started creeping into her mornings, right after waking up. This worried Priya, so she made an appointment with her doctor. During the visit, they ran a few blood tests, and to her surprise, the results showed she had low levels of vitamin B12. "But I eat healthy," Priya protested. What she didn't realize was that certain factors in her lifestyle were making it harder for her body to absorb this vital nutrient. She'd recently switched to a mostly vegetarian diet and had also been taking antacids regularly, which can interfere with B12 absorption. Once Priya understood the root of her symptoms, the solution became much clearer. Her doctor recommended B12 supplements and suggested small tweaks to her diet. She started adding more B12-rich foods, like eggs, dairy products, and fortified cereals, back into her meals. At first, the changes felt small and unremarkable, but within a few weeks, Priya noticed her energy improving. The weakness and tingling in her legs gradually subsided, and she even felt sharper mentally, an unexpected but welcome side effect of correcting the deficiency. This goes to show how even something as small as a nutritional deficiency can sneak up on you and cause symptoms that feel disproportionately big. Vitamin B12 is one of those unsung heroes that keeps your nerves firing and your muscles responding. Whether it's through your diet or supplements, ensuring you have enough B12 can make a world of difference. So, if your legs ever feel like they're giving up on you, don't shrug it off as just fatigue. Sometimes, it's your body whispering or shouting for what it truly needs. Listen carefully and take action before it becomes a bigger problem. Another possible cause of weak legs, and one that doesn't get enough attention, is a condition called myasthenia gravis. The name may sound intimidating, but what it does is even more alarming. This rare autoimmune disorder disrupts the way your nerves and muscles communicate. Think of it like trying to call someone on a bad phone connection. The nerves are sending signals, but the muscles are only picking up fragments. The result? Weakness that goes beyond the usual fatigue, persistent, progressive, and often puzzling to those experiencing it. Take the story of Peter, a 65-year-old retiree from Denmark who always loved being on the move. Peter had spent most of his life cycling through Copenhagen's scenic streets, often taking on hills and trails that others his age would avoid. He thrived on physical activity, which made the sudden weakness in his legs all the more frustrating. At first, it was subtle. He noticed his legs felt heavy after climbing just a few steps, something he used to do without a second thought. Peter brushed it off, blaming it on the weather or a poor night's sleep. After all, wasn't it normal to slow down a bit as you age? But then it got worse. One day, while walking through his favorite park, Peter found himself struggling to keep up with his wife, and his legs felt like they were weighed down by invisible anchors. Later that week, he nearly stumbled trying to stand up from his chair after dinner, and insisted they see a doctor, but Peter hesitated. "It's probably nothing," he said. "I'm just getting older." Deep down, though, he was worried. This wasn't the kind of tiredness that went away with rest. It was something deeper, something his instincts told him wasn't right. Eventually, and convinced him to visit a neurologist. The doctor listened carefully as Peter described his symptoms and performed a few strength tests. After some additional tests, including blood work and a nerve conduction study, the neurologist delivered the diagnosis, myasthenia gravis. The news was both shocking and relieving for Peter. On one hand, it was scary to hear that he had a rare autoimmune condition. On the other, he finally understood why his legs had betrayed him and, more importantly, that there was a way to manage it. The neurologist explained that myasthenia gravis affects the connection between nerves and muscles. The body's immune system creates antibodies that block or destroy the receptors muscles need to receive signals from nerves. Without that connection, the muscles weaken, especially with repeated use. But with proper treatment, Peter could regain much of his strength and lead a near-normal life. Peter started on medications that improved the communication between his nerves and muscles. His treatment plan also included regular rest breaks and avoiding overexertion. Within weeks, he began to notice a difference. He could climb stairs again without feeling like he was dragging concrete blocks. His confidence grew, and while he still had to pace himself, he felt more in control of his body. Peter's journey highlights an important lesson: not all weakness is just a sign of aging. Sometimes, it's your body waving a red flag, urging you to dig deeper and find answers. If you ever notice persistent or unusual weakness, especially in your legs, don't ignore it. Seeking medical advice could make all the difference, just as it did for Peter, who can now enjoy life and his beloved cycling once again. Now, let's dive into something that's far more common than most people realize: diabetes. Specifically, let's talk about diabetic neuropathy, a condition that often sneaks up on people with diabetes when their blood sugar levels aren't under control. It's one of those things that doesn't shout for attention at first, but instead whispers quietly through small, uncomfortable symptoms. One of the earliest and most telling signs? You guessed it, weakness in the legs. But it's not just weakness. It often comes hand in hand with numbness, tingling, or even a burning sensation that can make something as simple as walking feel like a chore. Let me share the story of Lucas, a 54-year-old accountant from Germany who had been living with type 2 diabetes for nearly a decade. Lucas was what you'd call in denial about his condition. Sure, he took his medications, but his love for pastries and late-night snacks made it tough to keep his blood sugar in check. For years, he brushed aside the warnings from his doctor, thinking, "I feel fine. What's the worst that could happen?" But then things started changing. At first, Lucas noticed a strange numbness in his toes. It wasn't painful, but it was odd enough to catch his attention. He ignored it, thinking it was probably just bad circulation from sitting at his desk all day. But over time, the numbness spread to his feet, then his legs. Soon, he started feeling a weakness that made climbing stairs feel like an uphill battle, literally. One morning, as he tried to get out of bed, he felt an unsettling burning sensation in his calves, as though his muscles were on fire. That was the moment Lucas realized he couldn't ignore it any longer. After a visit to his doctor, Lucas was diagnosed with diabetic neuropathy. The doctor explained that high blood sugar levels over time can damage the nerves, especially in the extremities. It was a wake-up call for Lucas. The damage wasn't reversible, but it was manageable if he made some serious changes. His doctor emphasized the importance of getting his blood sugar under tight control, not just to stop the neuropathy from worsening, but to prevent other complications down the road. Lucas committed to turning things around. He started monitoring his blood sugar levels religiously and made changes to his diet, cutting out the sugary treats he once loved. He also began a light exercise routine, which included walking and stretching to improve circulation and strengthen his muscles. Physical therapy became a regular part of his schedule, helping him regain some of the mobility he'd lost. Over time, Lucas started noticing improvements. The burning sensation eased, and while the numbness didn't fully go away, the weakness in his legs became less pronounced. He could climb stairs again without feeling like his legs would give out. More importantly, Lucas felt a renewed sense of control over his health. He realized that while diabetic neuropathy might always be a part of his life, it didn't have to define it. This story is a reminder that conditions like diabetes require constant vigilance. The symptoms, like weak legs, might seem small at first, but they're often your body's way of waving a red flag. Ignoring those early signs can lead to bigger problems. The good news? With the right care, attention, and a bit of determination, you can manage those symptoms and prevent them from taking over your life. Just like Lucas, sometimes all it takes is deciding to take that first step, literally and figuratively, towards better health. Sometimes, weak legs can even be a sign of something as serious as a stroke. While most people associate strokes with sudden numbness or paralysis on one side of the body, they can also cause more subtle symptoms, like a feeling of weakness in one or both legs. A woman in her 60s noticed her left leg felt weak and uncoordinated one morning. She thought it was just a bad night's sleep, but her daughter insisted on taking her to the emergency room. It turned out she was having a mild stroke. Because they acted quickly, doctors were able to administer treatment that minimized the damage and helped her recover fully. If you're thinking all this sounds a bit scary, don't worry. The goal here isn't to make you panic. It's to encourage you to pay attention to your body and take action when something doesn't feel right. Weak legs might be caused by something as simple as dehydration or overexertion, but if the weakness persists or is accompanied by other symptoms, it's worth getting checked out. Ignoring the signs could mean missing the chance to catch a serious condition early when it's most treatable. So, what should you do if you notice weakness in your legs? First, take a moment to evaluate the situation. Is it a one-time thing, or has it been happening more frequently? Are there any other symptoms, like pain, numbness, or difficulty walking? If it's a recurring issue or comes with other concerning signs, don't hesitate to see a healthcare professional. They might recommend tests like blood work, imaging, or nerve studies to pinpoint the cause. And remember, early intervention can make all the difference. In the meantime, there are steps you can take to support your leg health and overall well-being. Staying active is key. Regular exercise helps improve circulation, strengthen muscles, and maintain flexibility. Even something as simple as a daily walk can make a big difference. Eating a balanced diet rich in vitamins and minerals is also important. Make sure you're getting enough vitamin B12, iron, and magnesium, which are all crucial for muscle and nerve health. Staying hydrated and getting enough sleep are also essential for keeping your body in top shape. It's also worth noting that stress and anxiety can sometimes contribute to feelings of weakness or heaviness in the legs. When we're stressed, our muscles tend to tense up, which can lead to fatigue and discomfort. Practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or yoga can help reduce stress and improve your overall sense of well-being. In short, weak legs might seem like a minor inconvenience, but they can be an important clue about your health. Whether it's a sign of poor circulation, nerve damage, or another underlying condition, paying attention to this symptom and seeking medical advice when needed can help you address the problem early and improve your quality of life. So, the next time your legs feel a little off, don't just brush it off. Listen to what your body is telling you. It might just be the warning sign you need to take action and protect your health.